Welcome back. This is episode 11 on the run up to Sydney Knife Show this year. I've been going through machining all the handles so far, just the interiors. I've got the exteriors left to go. While they're running, I'm going to try and grind some of these blades. Machining the exterior is quite a time-intensive process. There's a lot of little stepovers for the ball end mill to travel when 3D profiling the handle, and it's just very time intensive. But that gives me time to work on some of those manual things. The schedule today has about 8 hours of machining, and hopefully that'll be the bulk of the work done for the handles. That gives me plenty of time to get things done on these blades and make a lot of progress towards having something for my table for Sydney. So I might run the first handle. The surfacing up is just finished, so now I'm ready to start milling in all the features for the screw holes and things like that before I can cut it free. In the meantime, I've rough ground 3 blades. I've used a 60 grit belt to do the main bulk of the removal, and I've come back with a 120 grit just to refine the edge and the plunge line and get rid of all those deep scratches. Next up, I'll bring out my disc and refine them even further, get rid of those deep scratches, take them up to maybe 800 grit, and then I'll go to the hand sanding. With the 3 blades ground, I might actually have something ready for Sydney Knife Show. That's always where I get worried. One slip and you've ruined a blade and it's all that hard work done. So I'm glad that the roughing has gone well. The disc work usually is relatively straightforward, so I'm not too concerned about that. I'm going to finish up this handle and then I'll get on to that. Okay, I've got the disc set up, so I thought I'd give a quick overview of my approach to grinding. Those bevels that I put in before heat treatment, I guide the edge to around 0.5 millimeter or about 20 thousandths of an inch. My goal thickness for the edge is about 10 thousandths of an inch. 5 to 10 thousandths of an inch. When I'm roughing it out on the belt grinder, I'll take it a lot close to the final dimension. I end up usually around 0.3 of a millimeter. Then as I go through the grits on the disc, it'll bring it down further. One way I ensure that is by making sure I keep pressure on the edge part of the blade as I grind. That will let me keep nice crisp grind lines at the edge of the spine and in the plunge as well. I've covered the blade with texture just so that I can see where I'm grinding. When I first hit the disc, I will be holding it very close to the edge, and that lets me keep pressure against the edge. As I bring the grind further up the blade, I'll start holding it further down so that the pressure is more equalized. If I need to tidy up the grind at the back, then I'll hold it down here. Where I hold it really guides where the pressure is going to be. So I'll put the camera down and do a quick first pass on this side, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is after one pass with a 240 grit sandpaper on the disc. As you can see, I've really concentrated on that edge side, and that's exposed a few spots near the spine where my belt grinding was not as even as maybe I would like. That's the whole idea of doing the disc, is to bring it all up and get all those deep scratches out. It's getting close to the end of the day. The machine's been running for about 8 hours straight now, which has been great. I've managed to grind the blades. I've even managed to finish off some of those little keyring pry bars for Sydney Show. Prototype 2 has all the parts machined. It's been excellent to prove out some of those resized dimensions and also a few little changes to the paths that I've been using. Prototype 3 is the one that's in the machine at the moment. All the machining for it will be done this weekend as well. I've still got one handle that I'll need to do next weekend, so that'll be cutting it close. But with all the blades ground, it's all finishing work from here on in. It's all just handwork, so I'll be able to do that during the evenings this week, and that will help me get ahead a little bit. Well, that's it for episode 11. 2 of the handles are fully machined now. The blades are all ground, and I even managed to get some keyring pry bars done for the show. So all in all, a pretty good weekend. All those finishing tasks always take longer than you expect, so I expect next weekend's going to be pretty busy as well. And next weekend's the last weekend before Sydney show, so that'll be the last video in the series leading up to the show. I hope you've enjoyed following along. Keep an eye out for the episode next week, and after that I will see you at Sydney show.